And as Pierre introduced me, I'm a philosopher. I'm teaching philosophy in the Faculty of Letters, that is the Faculty of Humanities at Kyoto University. And I worked on many subjects. My PhD was on Kant, German philosopher, very old-fashioned one. Then I studied something new, the philosophy of science at LSE London. And then, yes, researching on philosophy of science, contemporary philosophy, and some Japanese philosophy, Kyoto School. Maybe some of you know something about that. And also I have working on some East Asian Buddhist philosophy in China, for example. And based on that kind of many philosophical variety of resources, today I try to present you my own idea. And this idea, this is about self, yourself, myself. Everyone has self. Okay, but the biggest problem for philosophy is what is self? And many philosophers made many answers and made many mistakes. And I will make my own mistake today. But anyway, so my talk, my idea of self, was inspired by East Asian philosophical tradition. I will show you very soon. That tradition, okay, true self is a very important keyword. And many philosophers, Buddhist monks, theologians, and Kyoto School philosophers propose one or another idea, what is true self. Okay. And let me start very brief looking, what is their idea. Then let me start developing my own idea on true self. Okay, that's the basic plan of today's talk. Okay. And so this is about my book project. I'm now writing a book in English. Its title is Self and Contradiction. Not self-contradiction, self and contradiction, because that is about self and also about contradiction. And especially in the self part, I try to revive East Asian idea, old traditional idea of true self as a contemporary philosophy, purely. So first, as I told you, I just sketch what is that East Asian tradition of true self. Very simply speaking, so for me, so what is the East Asian true self? 3 key words. One is holistic. Self is everything. This world is myself. Very holistic, huge, comprehensive. The second important aspect of that East Asian true self is embodied. Self is always connected with body. Without body, no self. Body cannot be separated out from, self cannot be separated out from body at all. Embodiedness, very important character of it. And non-dual. So self should transcend any dualistic way of thinking. A or not A. That is a bad way to think about self. Self should be something that transcends that kind of a dualistic way of thinking. So therefore, that should be non-dual. So these 3 keywords are the keywords for the East Asian idea of true self. So let me try to make some contemporary philosophical idea of true self that is holistic, embodied, and non-dual. Okay, so there are many parts. And let me first have a brief view of East Asian true self, then try to develop that in a contemporary philosophical way. So first, let me make some sort of observation. So we call that phenomenological observation, first-hand, first-person observation on what's going on. When we move our hands, we do something using my body. So that's the part 2, observation. Then, based on this observation, I try to propose a new idea of self, that is, self as we, according to which self is we rather than I. So we are talking about self as I. It's a very common way, but according to this new idea, so primarily self is we, plural, rather than I, singular. Okay. Then let me see some sort of ethical implication if I have enough time. That's the lecture. Okay, that is Asian. Okay, so maybe some of you heard about Buddhistic idea of self. That is no self. There is no such kind of self. Self is just illusion. Okay, so important thing to do is forget about self, to escape from that illusion. That is the key for attaining nirvana, good thing. So that is a very famous Buddhistic theory. That is the theory of no self. There is no such kind of self, indeed. But this is just one side of Buddhism. There's another side of Buddhism, another tradition of Buddhism, according to which, okay, there's true self. There exists true self, rather than non-self. And to attain nirvana, we should recapture or reappropriate your true self, primordial, authentic, original self. That is a key to success. So this is a theory of true self rather than theory of non-self. This kind of idea had been developed in India for many centuries, that was brought into China and became very, very popular. China, Korea, Japan in East Asia. Partly because, so Taoistic tradition there, and the Taoist people claimed their words true self. They call that Shinjin true man, Taoistic sage. That is a sort of your true self, primordial, pure, original self. And that is what I already told. Also, there is a sort of a true self tradition already in India that was imported to China and East Asia, including Japan. And some of the Chinese guys, philosophers, say something about this true self. And one important aspect, character of this true self in China is non-dual. So this is one example. Sanron school, that's one of the earliest Buddhistic schools in China. They say, for example, self exists and doesn't exist. Why? So they don't like to be sticked or trapped into A or not A dichotomy. They didn't like that kind of a dichotomous choice, so they try to keep distance from that kind of dichotomy, saying some contradictory remark. Self is existence and non-existence. That means we cannot capture real character of self by dichotomous idea, existence or not. Self should extend or transcend that kind of a dichotomous idea. So non-duality is a very important character of Chinese Buddhism about true self. And Zen or Chen, sitting meditation guys, came into, and they added two more important characters of true self. One is embodiedness. Self is always, or true self is always connected in inseparable way from body. And third important character, holisticity. Self is everything. This world is myself. I don't go into the detail, but here is a very famous passage of a Zen text in which, uniting mind and body, Shinshin Ichiryo. Mind and bodies are united, just one, no separation, no two. Mind and body, just one thing. Okay, that's a very important Zen claim. And here's another claim about holisticity. Very short but very famous passage of one of the classical texts of Zen. And there's the first sentence that can be read to the Japanese pronunciation, Bansho-Shichu Dokuroshin. It's a very enigmatic idea that can be interpreted in many different ways, but the one traditional standard interpretation of it is quite holistic, according to which my body majestically manifests itself in every phenomena in the world. That means every phenomena in the world, you, this seminar, rain today, everything is manifestation of my true self, or your true self. Your true self is not local event that is separated from outside world. Every phenomena in the outside world is one or another way of representation or manifestation of yourself. Yourself out there in every place. That is a very famous Zen idea. Okay. So that kind of basic idea of true self, holistic, embodied, non-dual, are rephrased or repeated in many corners of East Asian philosophical scenes, and some Japanese very notable philosophers such as Dogen, 13th century Zen master. He is one of the best philosophers in Japan, also endorse that kind of idea. And Nishida Kitaro, the founder of Kyoto School, 20th century, also endorsed that idea. So for Dogen and Nishida, what is the most important thing in the philosophy world is true self. The most important philosophical question is what is true self? And that true self should be holistic, embodied, and non-dual. But how and in what way? They try to answer in their own way. Okay. Okay, so let me skip that. Okay, that is East Asian traditions. Many people talked about true self, holistic, embodied, and non-dual. Good. But my problem for me is not to interpret those ideas or mighty dead. They are dead already. So I am a philosopher. So philosophers should try to do something new, to try to elaborate, articulate my own idea. So I was actually being inspired by that kind of idea, especially some writing of Nishida, in which he clearly tried to explicate his own idea of true self. But I should do the same thing. So from now on, forget about traditions, though being inspired by that. So let me try to my own philosophical argumentation, observation that say, true self here, and that is holistic, embodied, and non-dual. And first, observations. This is philosophy part, so you can think of yourself, yes. First, let me start of this kind of two explanatory gaps. Gaps in the explanations. We can explain many things, but we cannot some part of it. Then here is a gap of explanations. And gap for explanation say why I can move my hand. When I intend to move my hand, in many cases, successfully, I can move my hand. Why? Many scientists try to answer these questions. Physiological scientists, brain scientists, psychologists, anatomists, or many other branch of scientists try to explain why my intention can bring about this movement of my hand. And some philosophers also try to answer these why questions. Why mind, my intention, can make some difference in my body, physical world. This is a famous mind-body problem. Why mind makes some difference in the physical world? That's one of the biggest philosophical questions. So those people try to explain why, and they are successful to some extent, but not perfectly. So the science is not perfect. There should be some gaps, one or another place. Maybe there can be some philosophical gap, still. But important thing, this is why gap. This is a sort of a third-person explanations, scientific explanation, metaphysical explanation, why I can move my hand. Okay. Then, here is another gap. This is my claim. First gap, why claim, has been mentioned or characterized by some philosophers already. But I think here's a new idea. Here is similar but different sort of gap, I claim. That is how gap. How you can move your hand. Okay? And I think this is a real gap. We cannot explain how, why. Okay, just imagine, for some days, you are unfortunately paralyzed and cannot move your hand at all, just for several days. And all of a sudden, next morning, you are happy enough to move your hand again. Okay, you back to the normal. Congratulations. Then, problem. What happens? Okay. What happens for the paralyzed days? And what happens before and after paralyzed day? What kind of trick now you can use to move your hand? What kind of trick that you couldn't use during several days? Maybe we cannot answer these questions. What we try to do, what I did and do now is just, yes, try to move my hands. And for some reasons, I couldn't do that when I was paralyzed. And I simply do that now. I don't know what is the difference here? What is a sort of a trick now I can use? Maybe no answers. So when I am asked by you, okay, why you are now moving your hands? I cannot answer. Just say, okay, just this way. Look at me. I'm moving my hand. That's everything I can answer. That means here's a how gap. I cannot fully answer how. From the first person perspective, I can move my hand. Okay. That is a very important, another sort of explanatory gap. Right. And this is, okay, right. Okay, this is what I already taught to you. And this is very important. This shows something, philosophically very important thing. That means whenever I move my hand, very simple action, I should always rely on, in unguaranteed way or unsecured manner, the mechanism of my body and its well-functioning. I should always rely on that. And in many cases, I'm lucky enough, I can rely on that and successfully. Yes, I can move my hand, but in some cases, I'm quite unfortunate. I rely on my body, but body cannot work properly. Okay. So here is a sort of unguaranteed reliance every time in every single actions, such as very simple actions, such as the moving hands. And this kind of phenomenological observation can be extended to many other sorts of actions. For example, riding bicycle, playing piano. Those are very typical, famous example in which skill or somatic tacit knowledge should work. That implies we cannot explain, we cannot articulate how to ride a bicycle. We should learn through my practice, bodily practice. That is also the case for the playing piano. Okay, I cannot make full articulation how to ride a bicycle smoothly, naturally, successfully. So what we are doing riding bicycle is just the same. Unguaranteed reliance on well-functioning my body, and in this case, well-function of bicycle, its mechanism. Okay, I always rely on something should go well. No guarantee. And in many cases, I can ride a bicycle, but in some cases, not. Okay. Right. Let me, yes, go to next. Okay, and this is one important conclusion, very first conclusion from this kind of observations. What's going on here is, okay, we cannot have full control of moving my hands. Such a very simple actions. I cannot have a full control for my riding bicycle, playing piano, many other things. So instead, whenever we are doing such kind of thing, moving my body, riding bicycle, we should entrust. That's a very important term. In Japanese, 異常、委ねる. We should entrust my agency to my body and my bicycle and many other things. That is, I think, always happens. That's not so, obvious. But when we make some sort of closer observation of what's going on in my moving hand, riding bicycle, this is my claim. Maybe we can find phenomenologically first-person consciousness or feeling of this kind of entrustment. Okay, entrustment is everywhere. Every somatic movement. That is one of my first very important philosophical observations. Right. Okay, that is admittable. Okay. Then, okay, let me rephrase this kind of idea, entrustment. This entrustment is a very first-person, vocabulary. Let me use more third-person one. Then this situation can be re-described as this way. Whenever I move my hand riding a bicycle, agency of my moving hand, agency of my bicycle riding should be distributed to something, more than one thing. So moving hands, so agency should be distributed to self, quite common-sensical individualistic self, and body. Now we have at least two agencies for moving my hand, individualistic self and a body. In the case of bicycle ride, so agency should be distributed to individualistic self, body, and bicycle. Okay, and as a result, we have multi-agent system. That's a technology term. Some engineers invented this idea. System of many agents. Those agents work together to carry out one single task, say moving a hand, riding a bicycle. Now we have a system of agents, and agency is distributed to each of those agents in the system. Okay, multi-agent system. Right. And how many agents there? How many agents participate in my moving hand riding a bicycle? Okay, take example of riding a bicycle. Individualistic self, my body, of course, and bicycle, and something more. For example, we need a road, okay, to ride a bicycle happily. Otherwise, we can't ride a bicycle at all. So we need, say, pressure, atmospheric pressures, or a gravity field. Otherwise, so my body should be floating out in the air, so I cannot ride a bicycle properly. Many things in environment or social economical setting should participate my bicycle riding. So someone should invent the bicycle, maybe 19th century in some part of Europe, and someone should manufacture that. And that's why I could buy bicycle. That kind of we need a road, many other social traffic infrastructures that are made by many peoples through history in the society, economy. Many agents should participate to my bicycle ride, and those are very important, indispensable. So whenever I ride a bicycle, I rely on, unconsciously at least, those agencies well functioning, always. We need some sort of external world. We need sort of a passage of time, very metaphysical agent we need. Otherwise, we cannot ride a bicycle in a proper way. Okay, so this multi-agent system is quite wide, quite huge. That contains our environment. So we are now approaching the holisticity. And also, there are many sorts of agencies. Some agencies are human beings. They have a consciousness, intentions, moral conscience, or something like that. And some agencies not human beings, just bicycle, road. And some agent just, physical thing, atmospheric pressure or gravity. So there are many agents here. And maybe you can make some distinction agent here. This is my, classification, and that is based on some others one. So most simple one, impact agent, that's gravity field of that. And implicit agent, that's something designed, road, bicycle. And explicit agent is a sort of a robot or some sort of, more or less automatic thing. And full agent has a consciousness, intention, like some animals, human beings, and human beings also moral agent that has a sort of moral thinking. So there are many agents participate in this system of multi-agent system and participate to support my bicycle ride. Okay, then how large, how huge this system is. I don't think this is, large to cover every galaxy, this cosmos. That's too much. So that is maybe the traditional East Asian idea. So this world is mine. That's simply too much. There should be some boundaries. But important thing here, this boundary is opened in a mathematical sense. Okay, and it's very, that can be explained in a very simple way. Okay, whenever I try to draw the line, okay, here is the boundaries. Okay, so inside everything is agent that participate to my bicycle ride, and outside not. But whenever I draw this kind of line, you are smart enough to point out, okay, here is a counterexample, professor. Just next to outside of that boundaries, you can easily find another agent that participate to that my bicycle ride. Okay, good. So let me, and furthermore boundary. But still you can find the second counter example from outside. In such a way, whenever I draw a line, you can easily find counterexamples. So that means I cannot reach out to fixed boundaries, even though there should be boundaries. That sounds strange. But that is very familiar mathematical idea. So open-endedness or open interval. That's what we learned in elementary school. Open interval between the two numbers A, B, or 0, 1. Okay. And we can approach to 0, we can approach to 1, both extremes, and infinity. Infinitely, we can infinitely approach to that. But there's no end. So there's a boundary, but we cannot reach out to that boundary. So in that sense, boundary is opened. So this openness is, in my view, one of the important meaning of holisticity of self. So people in East Asia talk about holistic self. But sometimes they or quite naive or too naive to say everything's myself. That's too much. So real meaning or cash value of holisticity, so there are several meanings, but one important meaning is this, open boundariness. Okay, here, now what time still? Oh, already, I spent many times. Now there's a multi-agent system, okay? And every agent in that system is agent, of course. So agent is not so special now. Individual self is agent, but bicycle is an agent, road is an agent, atmospheric pressure is agent, so many other agents. So agent is not special, but still self is special here, or unique. In what respect? Because only self entrusts its agency to many others. So many others are entrustees, agents who accept that entrustment. But self is only one agent that is also entruster. It entrusts its agency to many others. So here is a very important new meaning of self. Self is not merely agent of bodily actions, but more importantly, self should be entruster of agency to many other agents. Okay, that is the real core or meaning of self. This is my another very important philosophical claim. And okay, let me skip that. Okay, that's another thing. So in some cases, we are talking about many agents, okay, working together. Some sort of a joint action, collective action, like a chorus, orchestra, playing a team play. So we are talking about collaboration, cooperations of many agents or a multi-agent system. That's true. I'm very happy with that. But here I make more radical claim. Not only those collaborative actions, even for the single action, like a bicycle ride, walking, and singing a solo song, there should be always many agents participate. Collaboration should be everywhere, in every action. Every action is a collaboration. Okay, not only collaborative action, but single action should be also collaborative. Okay, right. So let me finish my talk. So that is the observations I made in the spirit of East Asian ideas. And based on this observation, now let me propose a new idea of self. Self as we, plural, rather than I. So far, I am talking about, yes, very commonsensical meaning of self, individualistic. But let me re-describe this agency distribution entrustment from perspective of we rather than I. To make things simpler, let me use this diagram or picture. That's not perfectly well, but that's something. So left-hand side is a very, individualistic, commonsensical picture that I used already. Okay, and I, single quotation, is a self, individual, and that guy is only entruster, very special. And many other agents should participate in this multi-agent system, and those are entrustees. So entruster, entrust, agency to entrustees. And this entruster is individualistic self. I, single quotation. Okay. That is old picture. So let me jump to the new picture, according to which self is we. Here, okay, change everything. Now this system as a whole is self. And this self is we rather than I. Because system as a whole has a two aspect. System as a whole is a unitary, single. That's called, that's one we. But we means we contain many. So system or we has two aspects, single, unitary, and many, varieties. And this system as a whole is now we. That's the self. What is the important character of self? Entrusters. System as a whole entrusts its agency to individual agent. And I still there, but this I is no longer self because this I is not entruster. This I is just one of entrustees. What's important, what's crucial, essential for self is being entruster. Entruster is the system as a whole, not I. I is just one of agent, entrusters. So that's the big change of our picture. And let me go to some real cash value of this picture change. Let me skip many important part. I still here, but this I is not self, no longer self. That's just agent. So let me denote that I double quotation rather than single quotation. Single quotation means self. Double quotation just mere agent. Okay, so here's one important substantial meaning or a change of meaning here. In the individualistic picture, okay, I, entruster, okay. And so entrustership is a very important property of I, self. I, self, okay. And with this picture, every action, every, my somatic action or cognitive action is described in this way. I do. Very simple. Okay. In the famous Descartes idea, cogito, I think. I walk, I ride a bicycle, I move my hand. Everything is described, I do. Very common. But when we change this picture from I to we, everything should be re-described in a drastic way. Now, I, double quotation, is not self, just one of entrustees. Entruster is a system, huge open system, is a self, entrusters. And this small I just mere agent. So every action, every movement, every thinking should be re-described in such a way. I am entrusted to do. I am entrusted to think rather than I think. So it's a quite complicated Latin. Dispensatio mihi credita est cogitare rather than cogito. It's very complicated, but we can find this kind of passage in Bible. Okay. And this is one big change. Everything now changed in this way. I am entrusted to give this lecture by we, rather than I give this lecture. Okay. And another big substantial change is here. So now every subject of every action, movement, thinking, feeling is we, plural, rather than I, singular. So rather than cogito, I think, single, we should say always we think. Cogitamus. And here's to I, double quotation, agent, but this I am entrusted to think. Real hidden subject, agent is not I, singular, but we, plural. Okay. So this is a big change of what we are. This is a very big change of myself, my true self. And let me finish. Right, still, let me finish. And anyway, so this is just my new idea, inspired by East Asian ideas. and try to give some contemporary philosophical meaning or cash value based on some phenomenological observation of entrustment of my agency or distribution of agency. Then based on that picture, I change the picture at all from I to we. And I think I try to sell this new picture. It's good. It's good for some reasons. One reason is an ethical reason. I believe that based on this new picture we can propose a better ethics, especially environmental ethics. I don't go into that because just lack of time. Another reason is a sort of existential reason. Not only ethical, more existential reasons. So here's my idea. And what is the most horrible thing that might happen to your life, my life? There are many things. Okay, sick, or loss of career, and loss of love, many other things, loss of money. But I think the most terrible thing of all is, yes, to lose your beloved friend, lovers, family, your pet, anyone. So to lose your very important person, others, whoever it is. That's the most terrible thing, horrible thing that can happen to our lives, and thus sometimes happened, yes. And why this is horrible? My answer here. It's a very simple metaphysical answer. Why this kind of thing happened and why this is so horrible? Because I am distinct of you. I am distinct of everything in this world. I am distinct from my lover. Even though we love so much, we are distinct from everything else. In other words, so take identity. Yes, very simple relation, identity. Identity has very special character. That is closed or enclosed. I am identical with only with me. I am not identical with anything else in the world. So that is a self-closure of identity. That is another way to say I am distinct from everything in the world. So this kind of universal distinctness is sort of very deep-rooted our self-understanding, our understanding of the world. That's why I cannot, I should separate from everything, everyone in this world, sooner or later, simply because we are distinct from you. Right. And this is very, very bad, sad news, existential meaning. So let me call this kind of feeling is existential solitude. We are distinct from everything in the world, anything in the world. So our identity is just close to me, enclosure. Right. And here is one way, at least to modify this existential suffering, existential solitude. Change your idea of self. Change your idea of identity. I will change idea of self, and I will change also idea of identity in some part of my book. How to change self from I to we. Now, you are not distinct in a sense. I and you are part of we. And where is the self? Not here, that there. We is myself. And we are just, participants, agent of this big we. So we are not so simply distinct from you. Still, there are some differences among us. Why? Because we can now change identity from classical identity that is enclosed, just identical to me. But here are many other identity ideas, crazy ideas, proposed in the contemporary logic. And one of those crazy identity ideas is non-transitive identity. Let me write something. Maybe no chalk. Oh. Can I? Oh, beautiful one. There are three things in the world. If A is identical to B, A is identical to C, of course, B should be identical to C, according to our common sensical idea of identity. So this property of identity is called transitivities. If A is identical to B, A identical to C, therefore B is identical to C. That's the transitivities. So now we have a closed triangle. So that is another expression of enclosure of identity, or another expression of my distinctness from everything in the world. But here is a new idea of identity. Now again, A is identical to B, and A is identical to C, but B is not identical to C. No transitivities. So this identity is called non-transitive identities. That makes this kind of openness. Now here's one individual B, that is double quotation, not self. Here's another individual C, my lover, double quotation, not self. And here is big A, that is single quotations. Okay, I am identical to this big A. That is myself, or ourself. This guy, for this guy, this big A is her big self, his big self. But still, we can say we are different. But in this indirect way, we are no longer in the existential solitude. In this case, we are sort of imprisoned in the prison, so solitary cell. Only one person in one single cell. Dokubo in Japanese. And we are no longer in the dokubo. They are sort of, conjoined cell. There are many prisoners in one single room. Better. Of course, there is still cell, but that cell is not solitary. And to change the view of self quite radically from I to we, and also change idea of identity from transitive to non-transitive one. So this is my claim. We can modify, at least to some extent, our existential solitude. So that's why I'm proposing this new idea. And this idea of self is very new. And I now make some sort of literature surveys in a contemporary philosophy of self. So there are many ideas of self, strange ideas of self proposed. And my idea is just here, right-hand side, so as we, that still occupies very unique positions. I found that very, very interesting. So there are many, philosophical thoughts on the related ideas, say, philosophy of action. There are many philosophies of action. Philosophy of agencies. They say many different things. They debate with each other. And still, this idea of self as we has very unique implication for the philosophy of action, philosophy of agency, what? So everyone in the contemporary debate of philosophy action presupposes agency can be self-contained. Okay. So I can move my hand, period. I don't need any help from any others. I can move my hand. Okay, so I am very self-contained, self-sufficient agent of my moving hand. But that is a wrong picture according to my observations. According to that, any single I cannot be full, sufficient agent. Always we need some help from others, participation from others. So in other words, every agent or agency should be distributive rather than non-distributive. And contemporarily, every other philosophers in this debate presupposes, unconsciously, or unreflectively, non-distributive agencies. But here's quite a different idea. Say, another related idea is autonomy. Nowadays, many feminist philosophers try to propose a new idea of autonomy. They claim that's relational autonomy. Autonomy is relational. It is relative to many other things, social relation or something others. So they claim that is a real situation of autonomy. Autonomy is not absolute, but rather relational. But my claim or my consequence is more radical. I don't believe in autonomy any longer, because agency is now always distributed. I cannot do anything by single alone. So what I'm doing, I am always entrusted to do do something by we. So my action has two aspects. This is my positive action, because to do something. But also this is the passive. I am entrusted. This is the passive part. And to do X, that is positive part. Every action should have two parts, positive and passive. So this is both attitude, rather than simple positive or passive. So this is a both attitude. That's very important. That is no longer autonomy. That is auto-heteronomy. Okay. In such a way, so my idea of self as we is very interesting. That can have very strange but new, unique consequences in the theory of self, theory of action, theory of agency, theory of autonomy, and ethics. But sorry, I don't have any time to talk about ethics. So let me finish here. Thank you very much.